Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Don't Blink. Welcome back to the channel. First off, the next three videos that are being uploaded, they are podcast videos that I did with my grandmother. She and I have decided to give it a try, see how things go. We're not trying to. I don't think this will be something that we do too often. It'll be something that when we have time, we will be making some podcast episodes. I apologize. I'm trying to fix my camera. It fell over. Now, now it's all messed up. But still, please give these videos a chance. There are some audio problems, and we will try to fix those in the future. But these three were recorded just to kind of have an idea of what we wanted to do and how we wanted things to go. Um, they were not live streamed or anything like that. I don't think we will do a live stream ever, but we will see what happens. But for now, they're just something to mull over, and hopefully, the messages get across that we are just trying something new. It's not. It's probably not going to be something that we continue doing, but if it is, please show your support. Like, my goodness, I've been having problems the last couple of weeks with my words. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let us know that you guys like them. If you don't, awesome. If you do, even better. Keep watching them. Keep coming back and keep watching everything else on our channels. But until then, HFGL, have fun and good luck, and enjoy the videos. Boo-boo! Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Don't Blink. Welcome back to Family Side Chat. We are here with the amazing Grammy, the one and only Mojave 234, right? That's what it was, I believe.
Happy 234 right here.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Today, Henry Cavill has been talking his ass off about a lot of this thing called Warhammer. What is this Warhammer? A lot of people have been asking. I've been told a lot of people have been asking. I honestly don't know. Um,
I've been wondering. You
Warhammer.
talk about it all the time.
Yep. My little brother, myself, and a lot of other people are talking about this Warhammer. And Warhammer for us is a game that tells stories. It's a game of infinite stories with infinite possibilities and dice rolls. But to the average person, it's just a bunch of grown men rolling dice and playing with their little miniature models. So I figured let's go a little bit more in depth with it and actually describe what is Warhammer 40,000. So, for Warhammer 40,000, it is a miniature war game produced by Games Workshop, one of the most popular miniature war games in the world, and is particularly popular in the United Kingdom. First edition rulebook was published in September of 1987, with the current edition being ninth, and that was released back in 2020, and another edition coming out hopefully within the next couple of months here. So it's all going to be really cool.
Can you imagine it was brought up in 1987? I mean,
Yeah,
that's what, 30, 40 years ago?
right? Freaking A. That's a long ass time ago. And the fact that it's still
Uh-huh.
so popular and just continues growing, it's amazing.
But
It's,
back in the Elizabethan time, rich men, noblemen, had their little models themselves and their armies. They might have Wellington's army against Napoleon, or they might have a German army, or somebody's army, and they'd have these models in their castle that they would kind of play with themselves.
so what you're saying is Warhammer is kind of based off of old militaristic king queen type stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
it,
cool.
it,
That's cool.
I think it is. I think it is because, well, don't you remember even the little army men
Yeah.
that you had when you were a kid?
Yeah, I
I
do.
mean, there was those too. Warhammer really hasn't come up with an original idea, except for their pieces. That this is in the future, but the little miniature armies have been around for a long time.
That's awesome. Honestly, you learn something new every day. I want to say there was another game that came around in this time as well, probably a few months earlier. I gotta look it up now. Hold on. Um, Dungeons and Dragons. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, they didn't really use miniatures, but they could have the players could have some miniatures. That was came out when I was young.
So yeah, the what it's saying is D&D came out in 2023, which I'm pretty sure they're talking about the movie, which is dumb.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it, but it looks like it'd be pretty good.
I don't know.
Dungeons and Dragons came out 3 years, wait, 1987, 1974, 13 years before. 13 years.
Wow.
Dungeons and Dragons was around. And then a small little
That was
company,
what year? 1977, you said?
74.
74. I was
74.
23 years old when that came out.
Wow.
In the colleges.
Holy man. Honestly, I feel like Dungeons and Dragons has dropped off a lot since 74. Like there's not a lot of people who play it anymore, and the people who do want to play it are usually younger in age and have a lot more time and imagination than myself or
Yeah.
most adults. So but damn, a 13-year difference. 1974 is the original. 77 is when the basic set first version came out, which is I think that was just artwork as well as a whole bunch of other minis came out for D&D, so you could actually visualize a little bit better what was going on. Anyways, back to Warhammer. This game is honestly fantastic. Like I said, it can tell billions of stories in a billion different ways on a billion different planets, and all of it is just made up kind of on the fly by two players, primarily two players. You can have more than that. You can have three-way battles. You can have four-way battles. You can even go as far as having multiple people, 10 on 10s, fielding 100,000 points, and these things are called apocalypse battles. Um, the game itself, there's so much that you can do with it. They've come out with things like Kill Team. They've come out with boarding patrols and start collecting boxes. So even if you don't want to play the game, but you're a big fan of collecting mini things and you want to collect something new, this is something that you could definitely just buy, paint, and then set up in a mini display case. Like I've seen on YouTube people painting massive 100,000 point dioramas of two different armies going at it, and they don't even play.
Why don't you show them? Do you have any nearby you? Your bigger
Oh, my bigger ones.
and then a little one? Well, a big one and a little one, so they can see what they're dealing with.
I do have a little one. I have a Tyranid Hormigaunt right here. He's not very easy to see because the lights are out. But yeah, he's been painted in the colors of Hive Fleet Kronos, which is primarily black and red. He does have a little bit of green on the head to kind of symbolize, like, oh, he's receiving a synaptic link from one of our bigger bugs, which is a little further away. So if you'll give me a moment.
An inch high.
Uh,
It's about an inch high.
inch and a half, inch and a few centimeters. I forget.
I have a real big one.
I do. I have a couple.
Big,
Give me one sec. I'll go grab them.
grab one.
After I untangle myself. Help! Help! The bandana's in the way.
Well, you can buy these.
There we go. I got it. We're good.
Which you can buy like a group of army men, I'll call them, little miniatures, and
So,
they'll be
grabbing my two favorites. We'll start with the biggest of boys. We have the
you could buy these
Winged
big
Hive
kits that
Tyrant.
they
Now this guy, he's primarily a flying unit with a bunch of melee attacks. I believe he gets up to 6 attacks and can fly up to 12 inches in any given movement phase. The wingspan is at least 4 inches. So imagine this if it were a real thing, being about 6 stories, no, 4 stories tall, my bad. 4 stories tall and having a wingspan twice the size of a plane. A current 747.
But these are things that you can buy and make
Oh,
and
yeah.
paint.
Yep. We can buy these. We
And
can
put
paint these.
in a melee.
Yep. I've got some more shooty bugs. I've got some other flying bugs. We've also got this melee beast. If I remember correctly, he is 7 attacks and just has a standard 6 inch movement. He absolutely shreds any other unit he gets into melee with. But he is really easy to shoot out if you put in enough firepower. These
Now
creatures, sorry.
this is not a cheap hobby.
Oh
You,
well.
you
Oh
have
no.
to have a little, you have to get your parents if you're young to help you with this. If you're old, like me, you probably have the money to buy your own army and set it up.
Yep. Um, I think
Except I'm not gonna.
I I think with all the models I have, for Tau, Blood Angels, and my Tyranids, um, there's easily about $6,000 in this apartment right now of just models. It's a lot of money. I could have had a car if I didn't buy these things.
Well, some of that was my money too.
Yes, it was. It's still $6,000 regardless,
Yeah.
but still.
Well, then besides your playing armies, you have the playing field. You could make mountains, ruins, right?
Mountains and other things that are like big pointy objects aren't really recommended. Ruins, or definitely taking another model or 3D printing other models, like say a big warlord titan. You can 3D print one of those and then just make it into a piece of wreckage that crashed through some ruins. Um, you can have forests or ravines. The rulebook goes over a little bit more about how these terrain pieces react as uh, on the tabletop. So usually ruins, they provide a 4 up or 3 up cover depending on their size and if they can actually be seen through by enemy units. Meanwhile, forests provide moderate cover, so a 4 to 5 up save if the enemy can be seen through the cover and they're shooting into like trees or some sort of shrubbery. As for stuff like Rex and other playing field things, you have a couple options. Back when I was playing 5th edition at a place called Gnome Games, it's a local gaming store in Wisconsin. They have a few locations now. They had these like uh, felt blankets, I suppose, that they use to just be basic terrain. It's just a grass field, or if it was gray, it's technically street. So open cover kind of terrain, no bonuses or anything like that. Um, but it does get more complicated. You do have some other places like Frontline Gaming, which is an online web store. They produce colorful mats to actually like lay down, and they are absolutely brilliantly HD printed. So essentially, what that is you get this mat. It can look like the surface of Mars or a ruined hive fleet or hive city, um, um, and it looks amazing. And then they also provide styrofoam or cardboard ruined buildings as well. There's also stuff like pipelines and refinery buildings, and all this can be constructed with pretty much any household item. Like, you take a roll of toilet paper, you can cut that into some smaller pieces and just lay it down on top of a table and be like, that is a half buried pipeline about 3 inches tall, so units can still be shot over it. And it's honestly probably the most adaptable part of the game. Sorry, I have gum in my mouth. How unprofessional. But yeah,
We'll edit that out, right?
maybe.
So, what kind of armies are there that a person could check into?
Oh boy. The
Oh, I
armies?
knew you would say that.
Oh
Armies.
boy. There are so many. We could go over each and every single one at some point. Um,
Well, just
you
tell us
have
a little bit about it. You don't have to go into depth.
all right. So what we do have are four primary factions. You have the armies of the Imperium, which also include these assholes called the Space Marines. You have the armies of Chaos, and you have your Xenos armies. Obviously, for the armies of the Imperium, Space Marines, I believe there's 14 or 16 different legions you can play. They obviously get the most love because, of course, humanity. You gotta make them win everything. Whatever. Bunch of losers, if you ask me. You have the Adeptus Sororitas, which is a bunch of ladies in power armor fighting to spread the will of the Emperor. You have the Adeptus Custodes, which are near impossible to kill. The Adeptus Mechanicus, which are humanoid robot assholes who are also very hard to kill. You have the Astra Militarum. So if you're a retired military or you just love history, these guys are definitely for you. Imperial Knights,
Warhammer would be for them.
Warhammer in general,
Being a
yes.
retired
Oh yeah.
military, I would think that would be a good thing. Warhammer would be good for that.
Honestly, I think just Warhammer in general would be good for anybody in the military. Like, just being able to flex your strategic brain and to just let loose, have a good time. It's a good game for them. Um,
Yeah.
Anyways, continuing on with our armies, because like I said, there's a lot. You have Imperial Knights, which are big, towering robots that honestly, Knights have some of my favorite lore because pretty much what they were just standard world building machines that would like do logging or mine for resources, and then eventually just got turned into giant fighting robots. So it's honestly pretty cool. So I'm not gonna spend the $300 per model to play them, but they are cool. um, the minor stuff like the Inquisition and Officio Assassinorum, they're in there as well, but they don't have enough models to really be considered their own armies. They're just cool, like $20 each. Um, then you have your armies of chaos, which is the chaos demons, the chaos knights, which are the same thing as the Imperial Knights. The chaos space marines, which is a overall just an overarching like, oh yeah, the enemies of man also have space marines. Fantastic. Then you get into some more of the personalized Space Marine armies for Chaos, which is the Death Guard, a bunch of just Marines and normal people plagued by the god of death and disease, Nurgle, who I think has reached out to our planet currently and given us this deadly, deadly disease, COVID. Then you have the Thousand Sons. Magnus did nothing wrong, and they are a bunch of dusty boys. Every time anybody tries to walk around, just dust falls out of the armor. It's they're followers of Zinch, so they were cursed with eternal life, but also turned to the bodies were turned to sand, but the armor remains. Then you have the angriest of boys, the World Eaters. They literally want the blood to spill, and they want all the skulls. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. Xenos are slightly more tame. The Xenos are just aliens for anybody who actually cares. It's like xenoarchaeology, whatever the fuck. You have the Eldari, bunch of elves. They move fast, they shoot fast, and they may or may not have fucked a demon or murder fucked a demon into existence. So that's fun. You have the Jukari, who are the followers of the supposed murder fucked god into war and stuff like that. They're a lot more messed up with their tactics, and they rely a lot on bringing pain to people and extending that pain for as long as possible. So you got really creepy stuff there. Gene Stealer cult's probably my second favorite army out of everything, just because they tie in so closely to my bugs. The Gene Stealer cults, they are infected by a tyrannid called the Gene Stealer, and essentially what that does is it makes them forget they saw the Gene Stealer, but they fuck everything as fast and as quickly as possible. And it may take generations and generations and generations, but planets have slowly been following to these Gene Stealer cults because of a plan to take over the planet because of somebody's not ruling properly, or because of it's there's so many reasons why. And the Gene Stealer cults honestly are a lot of fun because they added a new dynamic to the game called the blip system. Honestly, I'll get more into that if we ever come back to all the armies. Necrons. Necrons are what started this whole thing in the Warhammer universe. The whole war in heaven and god killing and slay the warlord and whatever the fuck else. Orcs, big, nasty, green. Everybody knows about the orcs. They're in everything. I mean, come on. You can't. They're orcs, man. If you don't know about orcs, you're wrong. Tau Empire. They're fish with legs. I'm gonna be straight honest with you.
Fish with legs?
They're fish with legs, actually.
Don't you have them?
This is an XV-104 battle suit. It is honestly one of my favorite models that they have currently. They do have bigger things called the Taunar. They have XV-8 battle suits. And recently I've been reading rumors from the Arcs of Omen stuff that our good friend overseer, god damn it, Commander Farsight may have summoned demons. I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh.
That'll be cool. If it's true, I want Chaos Tau. That would be great. Tyranids, obviously, big bugs, the ultimate good in the galaxy, because what is more pure than killing everything that just wants to either enslave itself or kill everything else?
Well, those would be cool.
Oh, they definitely are. Again, look at this Hive Tyrant. He is cool. He's a big boy.
You haven't painted that yet, have you?
No, I'm gonna wait until an actual stream to paint this big boy. This one and all my other bigger units. Definitely waiting to put together 2 models for a stream just because it would be more fun. Paint them up and then, glue it all together and be like, yay, we did it. We have more big bugs because bugs are fun.
Would that be on your Twitch or would that be on your YouTube?
It'll be streamed on Twitch, then it'll eventually make its way over to YouTube. When that'll be, I'm not sure yet. There's a lot of stuff going on in my life that I've got to kind of wait on, so we'll see what happens. Yeah. But for now, a lot of painting is going to be done on Twitch. It'll be a lot of fun. Last but not least, we have the dwarves, the Leagues of Votann. And the only lore I've heard about them so far is that they're dwarves, space dwarves, which is pretty cool. But contrary to the Imperium of Man, who does not like AI or any sort of helpful technology, these guys worship AI and helpful technology, which is pretty cool. I like that. I kind of like the Tau in a way, except less fishy. They don't smell.
So, gameplay.
Gameplay is honestly something that
Don't you go buy a? Don't you go use the book for the gameplay, like Dungeons and Dragons?
there is a book. It primarily breaks down into 7 phases. Let me see if I can remember what those phases are. Utilizing something else that I like called my computer. Because I honestly don't remember off the top of my head. So when you do play this game, there are 7 phases. They all consist into one battle round or one half of a battle round for 2 players. The first phase is the command phase. Both players muster strategic resources and use tactical abilities. Those tactical abilities are in the form of some interesting cards that are brought up in each faction. Some of these cards are weird ones, like command reroll. That's the use of your strategic abilities. I haven't actually used these in a while, so I don't think any of my stuff is where it needs to be.
Don't you also use dice?
Yes, I will get there in a moment. The movement phase. Your units maneuver across the battlefield. This can be done with just the unit's standard movement. Usually it's somewhere in between 6 and 8 inches. You can, however, advance a unit by rolling 1d6 and adding that to the unit's movement. So let's say my Tyranid bugs are moving 6 inches standard, but the enemy is about 15 to 20 inches away. I can advance them, take a chance, and see if I can get closer to them in that single movement. But that will severely limit what I can do later on, such as shooting or charging. But if I roll high enough and get a 12, it means I can't charge the enemy later on. But that might put me in position to use some better weapons, or even to just capture an objective from, say, a tank, because tanks suck at everything. Um, Next phase we have is the psychic phase, which is your psychers just use their really cool psychic abilities and try not to blow up their brains. So that is what they do. Shooting phase, obviously everything that can shoot will shoot, because why the hell not? That is a lot of dice rolling and probably the bulk of the gameplay. So it's always the most fun to just roll up a big old army of shooty stuff and say, okay, so you're within 12 to 24 inches of all my guns. All the things are going to shoot. um, then there's a charge phase. If you didn't advance your units, you can charge into melee combat, which is honestly where the greatest storytelling goes, because it's in Warhammer, shooting is all the rage. But when you get into a fight with, say, a character like my Swarm Lord with another character, Robute Gilliman from the Ultramarines chapter, it honestly tells a story. Like the battle for McCrag in the Tyranids' First Contact War, or First Contact War, which it's a brilliant story. And then you have the morale phase, which pretty much just wraps up any units that need to run from any combat or shooting or whatever. There are strategies that allow you to stay in combat, or to say if your opponent didn't engage you in melee and just tried to shoot you off an objective, you can spend a certain amount of command points to give them to make them auto pass their morale. And what that does is it makes them stay because I want this objective, and you didn't do anything to come and take it from me, so I'm staying. Um, After that, there's a scoring phase, which is usually at the end of both players' turns at the start of the next game turn, um, and you score off of primary objectives, which is, I believe, right now just holding capture points, and you can also score off of secondaries, such as like take and hold or grind them down, bring it down, assassination, stuff like that.
So when do you know if you won?
At the end of 5 turns, player with the highest score wins. Um, there are certain times where I've had it where me and the other player on turn 4, at the start of turn 4, look at the points and we're like, so I have this many units and they're in certain spots around the board, and you have more units than me, and you have more points. I don't think in 2 rounds I can outscore you, so we're gonna call it here. And that's more like an honor thing, being like, yeah, as much as I would love to drag this out and to watch my army get tabled, or I've got a sizable chunk of units over here, but they're too slow to make it all the way over to the other end of the table to come and take you off of those objectives. You can have the game. It's a lot of honor and just understanding how much you can actually do within a certain amount of turns, especially as the game continues. You're going to have less and less to shoot, less and less to move, less and less to just give orders to. So at some point, you kind of got to like look at it and be like, oh, well, yeah. But usually after 5 turns, player with the highest score wins. This again can be done through the primary objective, which is taking and holding objective markers, and secondaries, which are, I think, usually mission specific or faction specific. My bad.
So there are other things that have come from Warhammer that are out there that like novels. Do you happen to know what books are out there for them besides their rule books?
There are a lot of books. There's the white,
I
or
mean,
there's,
where they actually tell about a battle, maybe?
yeah, there are a lot of those. There's some talking about battles. There's some talking about specific characters. I think it's primarily specific characters. You have books like Garrow, Knight of Grey. You have the Buried Dagger, which is book 54 of the Horus Heresy. Um, you have Sanguinius the Great Angel, the First Heretic, which is another Horus Heresy book. Chthonia's Reckoning. Oh God, I don't remember what Chthonia's Reckoning is about. But yeah, there's honestly a ton of uh, different books for specific armies, specific just in particular specific characters, specific armies, specific battles. A bulk of the reading, though, and a bulk of like the better stories, in my opinion, are definitely going to come from each codex. Like for Astra Militarum, there is a story in that called The Fall of Cadia, which describes the Black Legion's 13th Crusade and how Cadia still stands and how the planet broke before the guard did. Um,
I had to lay back. My back is.
fair enough, fair enough. That's where a lot of the better stories are going to come from. Is definitely there. Um, but the Black Library or anywhere that sells books, I know I've seen a few different Warhammer books in like Barnes and Noble. I think our local library has a couple as well. Don't remember. But
Um,
Audible also has these stories.
oh,
Yeah,
awesome. That's interesting.
Audible has these. I found out recently. That was pretty good.
What about video games? Are there any video games based on Warhammer?
There are video games based on Warhammer. The most recent one, obviously, is going to be Warhammer 40k Dark Tide. It's a four-player. I'm not sure how to describe it. I'd say kind of a dungeon crawler, where you select a certain character, either the soldier, the tank, the angry priest, or the angry psyker, and you run in with a group of four and just shoot up a bunch of stuff, collecting objectives, or just going in and killing a bunch of bad guys, which honestly is pretty cool. Then you have my personal favorite series from Warhammer called Warhammer Dawn of War, which is, I think, 9 games in total now. Um, all 9 of these
Oh,
games
so
tell a
God of
different
War's
story.
from Warhammer?
Yeah. Well, God of War is different. There's Dawn of War, which is uh it pretty much tells different stories. The first 2 games, which is Dawn of War and Dawn of War Winter Assault, are the Space Marine Blood Angels. Um
I'm gonna mute your mother's home.
hey ma.
Wait a second. Or
Okay.
let mute me or
I got you. I got you. Oh, wrong mute. All right. So while we're waiting for her to come back, um, how's everything going, everyone? That's a little awkward. Never had that happen before. We can always get rid of it though. That's fine. But yeah, hopefully everything's going all right. Everything's going all right with me. Honestly, I love talking about Warhammer. Warhammer's fun. I love Warhammer. Good. Good.
yeah.
Okay.
Um so there's a bunch of video games out there that a person could play besides playing Warhammer.
Yeah. Not all of them are like or accurate as to what Warhammer actually is, but they are a ton of fun. You have the real time strategy, you have the looter shooter, and you also have um, you also have Deathwing, which is an interesting Deathwing and Space Hulk. Deathwing and Space Hulk. One of them is a turn-based uh, shooter. No, turn-based strategy game that is about maneuvering 5 Terminator Space Marines through a Space Hulk, which is just a giant space infusion of ships, which is a whole nother thing we can talk about at another point. Um, and then Space Hulk is a first person shooter game where you pretty much do the same thing. You just run through a spaceship as a Terminator Space Marine and shoot a bunch of aliens. honestly, Space Hulk is better. So I prefer that.
So I saw that there's some thoughts of TV series with Warhammer that somebody in the future is thinking of doing, and there's actually animated series.
There is an animated series that I've heard of. I haven't checked it out myself, so that'll probably be something I do. Called Hammer and Bolter, which it was produced in September of 2022 by Games Workshop, and they're about 13 half-hour episodes on specific factions within the uh, 40k universe, such as the Imperium of Man, the Chaos Space Marines, Orcs, Tyranids, and Necrons. And in December 2022, a man named Henry Cavill has obtained the IP um, to create another Warhammer specific TV series through Amazon, which that man, surprisingly, when I first heard of him, I was like, oh, he's a DC nerd. He knows a lot about Superman and Batman and all the mans. And then I was watching an interview of him, and he's like, yeah, so I'd have to say, I forgot what he said his favorite faction was in Warhammer, but it got me thinking, like, this man who used to talk a lot about just DC and Marvel is now talking about something very, very close to my heart. And I'm like, huh, that's a lot more than I need to know. But he wants to work on an Ultramarines specific TV series, which I feel personally I feel is something we should focus on after you explain how the Space Marines were even created, instead of, throwing a bunch of super badass, heavily armored dudes on a TV and being like, ah, yes, this is a Warhammer TV series. Everybody who watches, unless they're an avid fan of the series, is going to be like, what the hell is a Warhammer? And what the fuck is the God Emperor? And this, that, and the other thing. Because when I first started, people were like, "Oh yeah, the God Emperor, this, that, and the other thing," and I was like, "All right, slow the fuck down here, guy." I actively had to go and read a whole bunch of faction specific lore just to figure out, oh, that's what they meant, because it's a whole freaking thing. It's not as simple as, I can just pick up this one book, read it, and be like, yes, this all makes sense. It is. There are somewhere between 20 and 30 books, all explaining different lore pieces, and it's ever expanding. So that 20 to 30 books is now somewhere between 40 to 60 books, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger as new content rolls out. um, as I said, new rules are coming out hopefully soon. We got 10th edition. There is a movie that was created in December of 2010. It was released directly to DVD. It's a movie called Ultramarines, a Warhammer 40,000 movie. It's a screenplay written by Dan Abnett, who has actually done a lot of the books for Warhammer. So he does a lot of stuff for them. I think he's done at least 6 books, I want to say. I don't remember. But
I'm
they're
trying to look up real quick if that's something that can be found. Um,
oh yeah, like on
not
YouTube
on,
or something.
not on YouTube. I can't think. I can't spell and talk the same. Uh, on my Roku TV, I can search for movies. YouTube would be the next place to check to see if that's available.
I just found it.
And no, it's not anywhere on the Roku universe, which is like Netflix and Tubi and Pluto TV and Amazon Prime.
Interesting. It's on YouTube. I just found it. It was uploaded by another YouTuber, so I'm not gonna play anything of it.
Okay.
But it looks well for 2010. Obviously, we all know what the animation style in 2010 was: bulky and yeah. There is also at least one album created, like music album created by a British death metal band called Bolt Thrower. The album is called Realms of Chaos, Slaves to Darkness. Um, Honestly, that sounds
Sure
really
sounds real.
interesting. It's
I'll have to look that up.
yep, death metal, so it's a lot more, like and yeah, sounds like a
My
bunch of people
favorite
are choking on
music
shit.
is all that's what I like.
There's also um they also had a back in the early 90s, Games Workshop had their own label set up called Warhammer Records. And the band D-Rock, were signed to this label, and they only had one album called Oblivion, and it featured songs based on Warhammer 40,000. Honestly, that's not bad. Probably can still be used to this very day. And then there's a song called Chaos Space Marine by British experimental rock band Black Country. New Road is named after the Chaos Space Marine in Warhammer 40,000.
So there you have it. So besides the game, there's all kinds of spin-offs that'll tell you about the Warhammer world.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Honestly, if you love Warhammer, there's I believe there was for a while a Dungeons and Dragons inspired Warhammer player's handbook, which had a whole bunch of different Imperium of Man characters you could play as, and it was honestly pretty cool. So if that's still around, someone send me a copy because I would love that. um, but yeah, besides that, I think that's everything Warhammer related, at least for
yeah, I
now.
think we done a beginning.
The
There will
beginning.
be future Warhammer episodes, I'm sure.
Oh yes.
I want to learn more. I've learned a lot today. And I've been watching him play Warhammer since he was like 9, 10 years
Hey,
old.
don't give away my age. That's not nice. Oh my god, is that a
So,
dog? I see a dog. Chat, there's a dog. I want to pet it. I'm petting the dog. Hi doggo. Oscar.
yep,
Oscar, look at the computer. Oscar.
Oscar's in the.
He's in a loving mood. Oh, that boy. Well, that's all I have. Anything else you
That's
want
all
to
I
add?
have too.
All right. Well,
So,
thank you all so much
signing
for
off.
joining. Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us. Uh we had we have learned a lot today. Honestly, there was stuff I didn't even know about Warhammer that I found out.
I learned a lot.
1887? I
I
thought it was 92. Sorry, you were saying?
I thought it was something in 2000,
Right?
2010.
Right? God, that explains why some of the models just look like crap. Like they need to revamp a lot of their older stuff. Elder. Sorry. Caught something
Well,
there.
I gotta end this.
All right, same here. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will be back next week with some more interesting stuff. We'll figure it out from here. But until then, let's not forget the gamer code HFGL. Have fun and good luck. I will see you all in the next video and/or live stream whenever that happens. Whichever one happens first, I should
Oh,
say. And
yeah, let's see in
Mojave234,
the
we'll see you
comments.
next time.
Let us know what you'd like us to talk about too.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know. All right. I will see you guys next time. But until then, bye bye.